find it. AAU TV.
The voice of higher education in Africa.
It's 12 o'clock GMT. This is the AAU TV Mid-Week news coming to you live from the headquarters of the Association of African Universities. And to our top stories for today. In higher education, Kenyan universities push back against proposed cap on teacher training admissions. In discovery technology, researchers turn e-waste into tiny data centers to track marine life. In entertainment, Angelique Kidjo becomes first African artist honored on Nollywood Walk of Fame. And international death toll rises to 109 in devastating Central Texas flood. Please stay with us for more news on the AAU TV Midweek News. My name is Jemima, Deladem Dotsey. Welcome back from the break, and now our news in detail. John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana, on Friday, July 4, officially launched the no-fee stress policy in Koforidua, waiving all academic fees for an initial cohort of 15,000 first-year students in public tertiary institutions nationwide. The policy, which officially opened its portal in April, has validated nearly 50,000 applicants across the country for fee reimbursement under the scheme. This flagship initiative, launched in Koforidua, aims to break the financial barriers that have long kept thousands of Ghanaian students from accessing higher education and serves as a testament to government's Reset Ghana agenda.
Speaking in Koforidua on Friday, the president revealed that from this day forward, no Ghanaian child will be denied tertiary education simply because they couldn't afford academic fees. The policy, which takes immediate effect, abolishes academic-related fees for all first-year students in public universities, technical institutions, nursing training colleges, and colleges of education. President Mahama described the initiative as just more than a budget measure, calling it a matter of fairness, justice, and constitutional duty. He argued that education should not be a privilege reserved for the wealthy, but a shared national inheritance. Highlighting the urgency of the policy, he cited figures showing over 150,000 students were admitted in the 2022-2023 academic year, yet many were unable to enroll due to high costs. Under the new plan, continuing students will benefit from a revamped Student Loan Plus initiative, whilst persons with disability will receive free tertiary education. The policy also promises scholarships of underrepresented communities and reimbursement for students enrolled in certain fee-paying programs. Already, the government has cleared fees for an initial 15,000 students. President Mahama urged students to seize this opportunity and excel, stressing that Ghana is building a future where access to education is determined by merit, not by wealth or social class.
Still on higher education, universities and colleges in Kenya are strongly opposing the government's proposal to cap enrollment in teacher training programs, warning that it would exacerbate an existing shortage of over 90,000 public school teachers, shut down thousands of qualified candidates, and derail national education target under the Education 2030 Agenda or the African Union's Agenda 2063. While Education Ministry officials introduced the cap in response to growing graduate unemployment, institutions insist that maintaining open access to teacher education is vital to meeting rising enrollment demand and ensuring schools nationwide remain staffed with well-prepared educators.
The Ministry of Education wants to impose a cap, citing the number of unemployed teaching graduates. But university leaders want the move could worsen teacher shortages and derail national continental education targets, including the Education 2030 Agenda and Africa's Agenda 2063. Despite the current shortage of nearly 100,000 teachers in public schools, over 300,000 trained teachers remain jobless nationwide. In a joint position paper, university vice-chancellors argued that limiting enrollments could block more than 100,000 students from pursuing their dream of becoming teachers. They say students might be forced into alternative courses, undermining Kenya's capacity to meet the country's teacher demand over the next 5 decades. They also warn the plan violates constitutional rights, guaranteeing every child access to education, and contradicts the Universities Act of 2012, which grants universities autonomy to determine their programs and admission numbers. The institutions further argued that significant investments have already been made in staff and facilities to accommodate the influx of students who sat last year's KCSE exams. They contend that singling out teacher education for restrictions is unfair, given that other fields like medicine, engineering, and business face similar employment challenges. Meanwhile, Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Ogamba admitted to Parliament that over 343,000 trained teachers are registered with Teacher Service Commission but remain unemployed, attributing the crisis to funding gaps and uneven distribution across counties. He added that the ministry is working with the TSC to improve recruitment and push for higher budget allocations. As consultations continue, education stakeholders remain divided on how best to balance teacher employment with the country's future educational needs.
In health, a major new study suggests that what women eat during pregnancy could influence their children's risk of developing type 1 diabetes. Danish researchers have found links between inflammatory foods such as red meat, sugary drinks, and refined carbohydrates, and higher rate of the condition, raising fresh questions about diet, immunity, and childhood health.
Type 1 diabetes, often known as childhood diabetes, is an autoimmune condition marked by inflammation of pancreatic tissues, and diagnoses have been steadily rising across Europe since the 1990s. Scientists have long sought to understand why. Published in the Journal of Epidemiology and Community Health, the research tracked nearly 68,000 Danish women who gave birth between 1996 and 2002. Researchers assessed the inflammatory potential of their diets based on detailed food questionnaires covering 38 food groups. While inflammation is part of the body's natural defense, prolonged high levels have been linked to serious conditions like arthritis, heart disease, cancer, and diabetes. Foods thought to promote inflammation include red and processed meats, sugary sodas, white bread, deep-fried items, and products high in trans fats. By contrast, women who ate more onions, tomatoes, leafy greens, whole grains, dark meat fish, fruit, coffee, and tea scored lower for inflammatory diets. The study found that out of all the children tracked, 281 developed type 1 diabetes. Children whose mothers consumed more inflammatory foods were significantly more likely to be among them. Lead researcher Sherda Frode Olsen from Denmark's Tetten Serum Institute explained that growing evidence suggests inflammation in early life can shape the immune system, potentially raising the risk of chronic disease later on. He emphasized that mid-pregnancy might be an especially sensitive period for fetal development. Other factors, including maternal gluten intake and smoking, also appear to increase diabetes risk. However, experts caution that the study doesn't prove cause and effect, and more research is needed to uncover how inflammation and maternal diet might influence a child's lifelong health. Olsen says, the next step is to explore the biological mechanisms behind these findings in hopes of better understanding and eventually preventing the growing burden of childhood diabetes.
Please stick with us for Discovery News after the break. Back from the break and to our discovery story. A groundbreaking European study is breathing new life into old smartphones, showing how discarded devices could become miniature data centers. It's a high-tech twist on recycling that could help the planet and cut e-waste. Experts say such innovations could help reduce the environmental impact of our digital age, one old smartphone at a time.
Each year, the world churns out more than 1.2 billion new smartphones, despite the environmental cost of mining raw materials and manufacturing. Yet, most devices are replaced every few years, leaving countless old phones gathering dust or adding to mountains of e-waste. Now, a team of European researchers have found an innovative way to give out outdated phones a second life as tiny data centers. The findings, published in IEEE Pervasive Computing, reveals how smartphones can be reprogrammed and repurposed for practical and green applications. Associate Professor Huber Flores from the University of Tartu in Estonia says innovation often begins not with something entirely new, but with reimagining how existing technology can serve the future. The team discovered it cost as little as €8 to strip away the phone's original hardware restrictions and reconfigure it. They removed batteries to prevent chemical leaks and hook up 4 phones together, housing them in 3D printed casing to create a working prototype. In one surprising trial, this smartphone cluster was submerged underwater to monitor marine life, automatically counting sea creatures, an alternative to sending scuba divers to film and analyze footage manually. The potential goes far beyond the ocean floor. Researchers say these micro data centers could collect real-time passenger data at bus stops, helping cities improve public transport networks. While repurposing phones is not only a small piece of the sustainability puzzle, scientists like Ulrich Nobishrat from Tartu believe it's a step in the right direction. He explains that sustainability is not just about preserving the future, but about transforming the present, where yesterday's devices can fuel tomorrow's innovation.
We'll be back with sports and entertainment. Stay tuned. In sports, Kenyan track superstar Faith Kipyegon has once again shattered the women's 1,500 meters world record, clocking an incredible 3 minutes 48.68 seconds in the Diamond League meet in Eugene, Oregon. The history run further cement her dominance ahead of the world champions in Tokyo later this year.
The 31-year-old 3-time Olympic champion sliced nearly half a second off the previous record of 3 minutes 49.04 seconds, which she had set just weeks ago in Paris on July 7th. Remarkably, Saturday's race marked her first 1,500-meter outing of the season, following a bold attempt last month to become the first woman ever to run the mile under 4 minutes. Kipyegon said that push to break the mile barrier sharpened her performance, leaving her convinced it was still possible to dip below 3.49 in her signature event. She added that this record runs signals strong momentum on her journey toward the World Championships in Tokyo this September, though she's still weighing whether to contest both in the 1,500 and 5,000 meters. In Oregon, Ethiopia's Deribe Welteji came in second with an impressive 3 minutes 51.44 seconds, overtaking Australia's Jessica Hall, who led alongside Kipyegon until the final lap but faded to finish third in 3 minutes 52.67 seconds. Hall commended Kipyegon's remarkable consistency and competitive spirit, describing her as phenomenal for delivering world-class performances time after time. Faith Kipyegon's stunning feat not only reinforces her position as the queen of middle distance running, but sets the stage for even greater drama at the World Championships later this year.
In entertainment, Beninese French music icon Angelique Kidjo has made history as the first African artist to receive a star on the Nollywood Walk of Fame. Announced as part of the Walk of Fame class of 2026, Kidjo joins 35 global stars recognized for their significant contribution to entertainment. The five-time Grammy winner is celebrated for her powerful vocals, vibrant performances, and advocacy for African culture.
The five-time Grammy Award winner, often hailed as Africa's premier diva by Time magazine, is being recognized in the recording category, standing shoulder to shoulder with global music greats like Miley Cyrus and global trailblazers, the Clark sisters. The Hollywood Chamber of Commerce revealed Kidjo's selection as part of the Walk of Fame class of 2026, a distinguished group of 35 stars chosen across film, music, television, live performance, and sports. Peter Ruff, former CEO of Winner Brother Television and chairman of the selection committee, praised the honorees, saying they've made outstanding contribution to the entertainment world and deserves this lasting tribute. At 64, Kidjo's impact resonates far beyond music. Her genre-bending sound has introduced global audiences to the rhythms, languages, and stories of Africa, while her artistry continues to break cultural boundaries. She is also a recipient of the prestigious Polar Music Prize and remains a tireless advocate for women's rights and education across the continent. Joining Kidjo in the 2026 class are big names like actors Timothy Chalamet and Demi Moore, celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay, and basketball superstar Shaquille O'Neal. The exact date for Angelique Kidjo's star unveiling on the Walk of Fame will be announced in the coming months, marking a milestone moment not only for her illustrious career, but for African music on the world stage.
Explore a whole new world of exciting visuals with AAU TV. Get ready for a mix of interesting talk shows, interviews, discovery documentaries, and news on AAU TV. It's not just about watching TV, it's about experiencing something special. AAU TV reaches over 25 countries in Africa, bringing you a blend of knowledge and fun. Learn about different cultures as you enjoy the shows. If you have events or want to showcase your business, we've got you covered. Watch AAU TV free-to-air channel on satellite. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter, at AAU TV. Reach out on call or WhatsApp us at +233 26 629 6601 or +233 20 399 5210. AAU TV, the voice of higher education in Africa.
The African Development Bank has approved $139 million loan to the city of Johannesburg, the first time the bank has extended direct financing to a city rather than a national government. The funds will support infrastructure upgrades across electricity, water, and waste services as the city prepares to host the G20 summit in November. This comes amid growing pressures to address widespread decay in South Africa's economic hub.
The investment announced Tuesday targets Johannesburg aging infrastructure, with funding earmarked for 100 critical projects across electricity, water, and waste systems. The city, home to Africa's richest square mile, has come under intense scrutiny for its crumbling roads, burst pipes, and failing utilities. AFDB Southern Africa Director General Kennedy Mbekeni said the initiative reflects the bank's commitment to supporting credit-worthy cities as engine of economic growth. He added that strengthening Johannesburg's system is a strategic move towards investing in Africa's urban future. President Cyril Ramaphosa recently voiced his concern about the city's appearance, especially as it prepares to host the G20 summit this November. He described Johannesburg as not very pleasing and called on authorities to restore the city's pride and image before the global gathering. The AFDB reports that electricity losses in Johannesburg has hovered around 30% annually, while water losses has exceeded 46%, figures that underscores the urgency of intervention. The $139 million loan is part of a broader financing effort. On the same day, the AFDB approved an additional $474 million loan for South Africa aimed at boosting energy efficiency and overhauling the country's rail system. That follows a $1.5 billion World Bank loan issued last week as effort intensifies to revive the country's stalled economy. With this historic investment, Johannesburg could be poised for a long overdue transformation, just in time for the world to watch.
And international, at least 109 people are confirmed dead and at least 25 remain missing after catastrophic flash flood struck Central Texas. Kerr County was hit hardest, with Gelsama Camp devastated. As rescue teams continue combing the Galibord River corridor, officials warn the death toll may yet climb. President Trump has declared a major disaster, unlocking federal aid while local communities mobilize to support survivors. Meanwhile, HEB, one of Texas's largest grocery chain, has opened 3 flood recovery sites in the Austin area since July 8th, contributing water, snacks, and first aid kits to affected residents.
Tensions are high across Central Texas as recovery teams continue a desperate search for survivors after devastating flash floods swept through the region on Friday. Kerr County bore the brunt of the tragedy, where floodwaters engulfed Camp Mystic, a beloved Christian girls' camp, while campers slept. Among the dead are several children and the camp's longtime director, Richard Dick Eastland. The Guadalupe River surged an astonishing 26 feet in just 45 minutes. Texas Governor Greg Abbott described the situation as nothing short of horrific, pledging that authorities will stop at nothing to find the missing. President Donald Trump has declared a federal disaster in Kerr County, activating emergency aid and announcing plans to visit the area this Friday. Scenes of devastation stretch for miles. Roads are washed out, homes ravaged, and belongings scattered as far as 8 miles downriver. Volunteers like former Navy SEAL Greg Froelich are combing through debris in a relentless search for signs of life. As rainfall threatens to continue, local residents like Alma Garcia and Pella are stepping in, providing shelter, meals, and clothes to those in need. And in Rome, Pope Leo XIV offered prayers for the victims, calling the tragedy heartbreaking. This is being called one of the worst flood disasters in recent Texas history, and it's far from over.
Now, thank you for staying with us, and let's take a quick look at our headlines. In higher education, Kenya universities push back against proposed cap on teacher training admissions. In discovery technology, researchers turn e-waste into tiny data centers to track marine life. In entertainment, Angelique Kidjo becomes first African artist honored on Nollywood Walk of Fame. In international, death toll rises to 109 in devastating Central Texas floods. Now, thanks for sticking with us on the AAU TV Mid-Week News. You can also follow our social media handles, Association of African Universities, on Facebook and YouTube. And you can also get interactive with us on our dedicated news hub, tv.aau.org. My name is Jemima. Deladem. Have a lovely day.